The Honorable, the Chief Justice and the Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of the United States. Oh, yea, oh, yea, oh, yea. All persons having business before the Honorable, the Supreme Court of the United States are admonished to draw near and give their attention, for the court is now sitting. God save the United States and this honorable court.
That was the Marshal of the Supreme Court calling the court to session with the French equivalent of hear ye, hear ye, hear ye, the herald's call. This is one of the ceremonial touches of the Supreme Court, a very august body, which of course thrives on its symbolism of being above the rest of the government. The justices certainly look very distinguished in their robes in the photograph I've asked you to take a look at. So let's talk about who these individuals are and how they arrived to the court, what their backgrounds are. First, a snapshot of the court. The photograph includes Justice Stevens, who has recently retired, and as I record this, Elena Kagan is being considered for a position on the court, and she would be the fourth woman to sit on the court and would be the third on the current court. President Obama has nominated two women for the two vacancies which have occurred during his term, and of course Justice Sotomayor, who was confirmed in the summer of 2009 for the last term of the court, 2009-2010, was also the first Latina justice to be nominated. Only two African American justices have served on the court. The current Associate Justice Clarence Thomas was appointed by George H.W. Bush to the bench, and the only African American justice to serve before him was Thurgood Marshall, who distinguished himself as an attorney for the NAACP and argued Brown versus Board of Education, of civil rights icon in our history. So while the court is more representative now demographically of the United States than perhaps it's ever been, the history of diversity is rather recent, and still, as one can see, the justices tend to be elderly and still tend to be elderly white men. One of the peculiar facts about the current court is that religiously it's not very diverse. All of its members, including nominated Justice Elena Kagan, are either Roman Catholic or Jewish. There are no Protestants on the court, which is a strange kind of anomaly. Also, all of the justices have an Ivy League background. Now that Justice Stevens has retired, he went to Northwestern for law school. All of them have gone to places like Yale and particularly Harvard. Also, all of the justices in the photograph served before they appeared on the Supreme Court in the courts of appeals. Now, Elena Kagan would be an exception to this. She, as I record this, was most recently Solicitor General of the United States, and before that, Dean of Harvard Law School. Let's take a look at the justices who are standing in the photograph first from left to right. That's Justice Alito, who's looking sort of towards the ceiling there. He is the least senior member of the court other than Justice Sotomayor. He was appointed by President George H.W. Bush and faced more opposition than his predecessor, Chief Justice Roberts. In fact, Barack Obama, as senator, voted against Alito, and some have wondered if that hasn't led to some hard feelings. Associate Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was appointed by President Clinton. Then we see Justice Breyer. He was appointed as well by President Clinton, and is one of the more public justices. He always goes, for example, to the State of the Union message, and sometimes speaks publicly and gives lectures like Justice Scalia does. We'll get to him in a minute. Seated to the left is a Reagan appointee, Justice Kennedy, who is often the swing vote between liberals and conservatives on this current court. Justice Stevens, retired, is seated next to him. And then in the center is Justice Roberts. Let's come back to him at the end. To his left, our right, is Justice Scalia, the most notoriously conservative member of the court, whose doctrine of judicial philosophy is originalism, which actually he was influenced by Robert Bork, who was mentioned in the last lecture in terms of that philosophy. And then to his left, Justice Thomas. Justice Roberts is rather new to the court. He was appointed by George H.W. Bush, and his appointment was going so smoothly through the Senate at the time that Chief Justice Rehnquist passed away that President Bush decided to make a quick change and nominate Roberts for Chief Justice. And the courts are most widely known in terms of their Chief Justice. So this current court is referred to as the Roberts Court. Roberts is clearly a conservative and has already made his mark on this court, which despite having a Democrat in the White House and Democratic-controlled House and Senate, currently, as I give this lecture, the court itself is rather conservative. And we can see that it's still marked by the legacy of conservative presidents, President Reagan, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush. From that point of view, the court exists in a kind of time capsule. And this concludes our lectures on the Supreme Court.